Folks, we are back with the greatest pandemic podcast known to man. That's when it was started. That's how we're going to keep it going. We ain't going nowhere, baby. Just like the China flu. Are we not? We don't do we? We're going to skip right over that. My bad. I was told you wasn't supposed to say that no more. We don't say China flu. Anyway, it's the greatest podcast known to man. What's good, America? I'm C. Turner. That's Big Game James, and that is the Matrix down there, depending on how your computer is pointing, whatever it is.
Yeah, I might be pointing to something else. Yeah, but there's no telling.
So you got the number one podcast. You got the good guys. You got one of the greatest quarterbacks of indoor, the legacy, the Matrix, the man himself. And he got something you want to talk about. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, man. You was hollering at us, James, man. Just what's on your mind, man? What's good?
You know, we moved to North Carolina like 5 years ago. You know, my oldest boy is 18. We have 5 children, man. So 18. So we have athletics in our family. It runs deep. They're also great students as well. So don't get it twisted. My kids will not be on the court or the field without their grades being on point. That's how we roll. But I just, topic of conversation, man, around parents and their roles and support in amateur sports. One thing I thought about when, this podcast or this episode started, CT was giving attention to his daughter, and there's nothing better than that. Nothing should come in place of that. My thought around the conversation and parents' role in amateur sports falls in line with that, because we can kind of start the conversation as to, okay, I've enrolled my children in this activity. Now, do I take a step back? I need to take a step back. I'm not taking a step back. You know what I'm saying? How involved should parents be in their children's amateur athletics? And throw it out there. What's your thoughts?
I'll say this, and I'll try not to run as long as I know I probably can on this one. When I was a kid, my mom's husband was a coach. Like he coached us in football, and then like he was a part of the organization at the park I went to, and they had different things and everything else. And his whole thing was, if you want to coach a kid, come coach. But you can't be a parent and a coach and then overruling certain things and everything from that aspect. So if you want to be a parent that's a coach, then volunteer your time and coach, because there's always going to be a need for more positive influences around your child and other kids, because everybody ain't got a dad, everybody ain't got a mom, everybody ain't got a positive influence in their life. So I'll say that. Fast forward to me being a dad. I didn't take that same advice. I'll be the first one to tell you. I know when she started, I knew absolutely nothing about soccer. I know you can't use your hands. That was the gist of what I knew. But with me being a dad and this being mine, like I want my kid to be the best. So I started looking stuff up, and now it'll be ESPN3 and it'll be Argentina playing like Chile or something like that. And I'll watch some of the soccer game and like, all right, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this. So I noticed, all right, I'm gonna try to help out. I'm gonna try to coach. So the second year when she was playing, okay, now I'm an assistant coach. I know a little bit more. She was 6 at that time, I want to say, 7 at that time. So, but at the same time, I saw when I was coaching some of the games that I couldn't differentiate between being a dad and being a coach. So I decided that, okay, I can't do both. So I took that time as being the coach, learned what I could learn, and just noticed, okay, well, listen, I just want to be a fan. I want to appreciate everything she's doing, because during the games when I was coaching, I would notice I would lock in on my kid and kind of let everybody else just kind of run around rampant but I would focus on my kids. So I took a step back and I became just a fan. And then like when she didn't have practice, all right, let's go work on this. All right, what do you think happened in the game that you could have did better? All right, you guys won, but how could you have won by more? Like, what do you think you like? It's just I started picking her brain that way because I couldn't be a coach because I could only speak for myself. I can't speak for you, but like I was locked in the entire game on my kid running up and down the field. So the role of a parent in sports, you either need to coach and be able to coach everybody's kid or be a respectful parent because none of these coaches are getting paid for this. Like they might get a t-shirt or a gift card or something like that at the end, but these are parents as well. Be respectful, be a parent, be a fan of the game. Somehow, some way I became like a team dad. So I'm bringing juice boxes and Gatorades and cut up oranges and stuff. Learn to appreciate the game and become a fan of it.
So as the one with no children in this entire conversation.
Yeah. Let's hear what you got to say.
It's it's a real delicate thing. I think parents' roles in amateur athletics. So, like, we come from a different, like, we're the last of the old era. Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about.
We are.
You're talking about 283 babies and 84 babies. So basically, born within the same year, and things were just done a certain way. You trusted that when you send a kid to be coached. I mean, even in Little League. I remember when I was living in Rochester, Minnesota. See, there's a connection, James. I actually lived in Minnesota.
Okay.
It always comes back to me and McNair, both namesakes, both the thirds. I'm just saying, Chris, this is my guy. He's my guy.
The match made.
Even in Rochester, I remember playing on my fifth grade baseball team. And our first baseman, like his dad, was the coach. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like he was doing anything to where he gave his kid preferential treatment or anything like that. Matter of fact, he's probably one of the smartest coaches I ever had. He said, James, I know you love Ozzie Smith and you want to play shortstop, but I think I'm going to need to move you to left field. I just don't think this is where your skill set is. And he put me in left field. It was the best thing ever happened in a baseball career. I said, oh my God, I'm out there looking like Ricky Henderson. Like, this is dope.
Yeah.
So,
way to be humble.
Listen, fifth grade baseball meet. Look, I wouldn't do nothing but stealing bases standing up. I'm over here making all sorts of catches. I was changing batting stances every week. One week it was Mickey Tettleton. The next week it was Jay Buhner.
Hey, as long as you wasn't using Julio Franco's, you be all right.
Nah, I think I tried Julio's. I didn't quite have the wrist strength to come from here all the way here, with my Louisville Slugger aluminum black and gold bat that I had. But no, I mean, and he was very attentive, I think. And I think there's a balance to it. You know what I mean? I think we just have come in this era of, obviously, we've seen it be, really kind of dramatized when you look at the ball situation, in a sense. Can bring, there's obviously been great things out of that. I mean, he had two of his three kids drafted within the first three picks of the NBA draft. You know what I mean? And I just saw that another kid that's playing at Oklahoma State right now is a kid that he kind of fostered. I didn't know that until watching Oklahoma State play basketball. And he basically took that kid in and worked him out. So there's a lot of good things you can see from a dad like a LeVar Ball doing that. Look at kind of some of the guys we've seen. Kyler Murray was coached by his dad. Phillip Rivers is a coach's kid. It's a lot of these guys, that we see. So I think there is a place for it if it's done the right way. I think what you see in North Carolina, James, especially in that state where it's the AAU is nuts, especially for basketball in particular, because I know James the fourth plays basketball too, in addition to football. I think that's really where you see it kind of get out of hand. And Chris coming from basically the pipeline of all football, the state of Florida, is where you can see where the selfish intent of those comes into play. And I agree, there's no need for that, in the game to be monetizing off of kids. Like, it already happens to them enough.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate this generation and how they have found a way to make sure that they're getting, look, people have cried about not having NCAA football, and now these kids are going to get paid for it. Like, that's insane that EA Sports is like, dude, we getting our ass whooped. We got to do something. We're going to be over here looking like GameStop right now. They'll throw us out with GameStop. They're going over here thinking, our penny stocks is like the stock to buy and shit. So here they come. And now, obviously, these kids are going to have to get their likeness because of the lawsuit that a lot of our friends, we won't name all of our friends that are part of that lawsuit, James, but a lot of our friends, can't really speak on it, verbally due to the nature. I think they've got, what are those, NDA or what? Yeah, whatever those are called.
NDA.
NDA, but so I think there's a balance for it. Like, I think about it with me, like, my parents were very hands-off. Football was kind of a nuanced sport in our family. I had uncles that played in high school. I guess my grandmother's brother was some stud back in Virginia, but it wasn't really a real big sport. Like, we loved the Bears, but nobody really could teach me how to be a wide receiver. So I was entrusted to coaches. So didn't have that impact, So I think there's a balance to it. It's just a matter of, if you're going to coach your kid, understand what your kid's level is. If your kid's Kyler Murray, I think we should probably tailor our team around Kyler Murray. I don't know. That's pretty easy to coach.
Makes sense.
The kid didn't lose for 4 years down there in Allen, Texas. Plus, his dad was pretty good himself. His dad was like, that's easy to do. But if your kid's going to be, the kid that this is as far as he's going to go, then understand that about your kid. And I think there's just a certain unselfishness that comes in, and a great responsibility of being a coach, wanting your teams to be the best that they can be. You'll always put that individual, even if it's your kid, like, hey, listen, I love you. You don't want to go as far as like kicking and screaming. You ever seen that movie with Will Ferrell? Soccer, James? I know Chris has seen it because we.
Nope.
1 minute he's the coach. It's like, I just want, my kid to be able to play. And then he's going against his dad. And all of a sudden he's got Mike Ditka coaching the team. It's a soccer movie. Mike Dicka's coaching the movie.
It's worth the watch.
It's hilarious. And like, Will Ferrell just starts, in only the way Will Ferrell can, he starts losing it. It just becomes about beating his dad however he can. He's like telling his kids to break clavicles. Like, it's the perfect movie for like what not to do as a parent who's kid. And basically, he does the right thing in the sense of, he's got these 2 Italian kids that are studs. He's like, you guys give them the ball and get the hell out of the way.
Get out the way.
Which actually is what you want to see. But, he benches his kid, which is terrible. It's like, go grab some bench. Well, we're trying to beat my dad right now. So I think there is a true balance to it, James. Like, I feel like you coached your son, and I feel like you've coached your daughters too, haven't you? Like, when they were coming up?
Yeah, man. It's, like I said, we have 5. So 18, 16, 11, 9, and brand new. It's about 6 months.
Oh, my.
And yeah, so the challenge with it is like CT was saying, man, once you get in, so here's the example. I know nothing about volleyball, but my daughter's been playing club volleyball for quite a few years now. More than 5 years. We've been in North Carolina for 5 years. She's been playing club volleyball for 5 years. And they're down in Florida. Big shout out to her team. They playing. They're still in gold bracket contention in a national qualifying tournament, the Sunshine Classic down in Orlando, Florida right now. So shout out to my baby.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, man, they're doing well. So hopefully they keep it up. She's playing for a team called Chapel Hill Area Volleyball Club. So they're amazing. So in the first couple of years of club volleyball, I was like, my wife played collegiately, so I was leaning over to her like, "Hey, what just happened? Tell me, you know, what's that signal?" Year 2, you know, I'm doing that a little less, and year 3, I'm like, "Hey, they got to do this, they got to do that." And then she gets in the car, and I'm like, "Hey, baby, what happened on this play?" You know, that's not the first thing I say to her, but I'm like, "Yeah, what happened on this play?" Trying to run it down. But here's where I respect volleyball here in North Carolina and the way that it's been cascaded to the parents is like, they're like, "Hey, parents, here's your place. This is where you need to be." And there's some times where I think they cross the line on that, but they set the expectation up front and say, "Here's your place. Your coaches have all played Division I, Division II. They played collegiate volleyball. Many of them have played professionally. Many of them have represented the United States or their respective country on an international scale. So their knowledge of the game is going to be greater than yours, and we just want you to trust us in this process." So that to me has really helped me, but it's also put me in a position to be really disappointed in the other sports like basketball, AAU basketball here in North Carolina. It seemed like sometimes, oh my gosh, I mean, Gene and Joan and Billy Bob on the corner can grab a few kids from the park, you know, put down the little money and have their team in an AAU tournament, you know, and it's crazy. I mean, and I'm not meaning to, and I'm not going to demean AAU right now, but just the disorganization of AAU basketball versus club volleyball is night and day, man. Well, I mean, club volleyball, I got the schedule. We got the schedule. We can plan our flights. We can plan our hotels 6 months out. And basketball, I'm finding out the day before. The venue has changed. My time has changed. We're not in the morning wave anymore. So
I can speak to volleyball in this sense. You know, like that's the best part about that sport. And I think that sport in particular, it's so easy to trust in the club. One, because of how much money you paying them. I'm paying you a shit ton of money. I shouldn't have to do anything. That's the beautiful thing about club volleyball. Like, that's good. Like, you know, I can go look you up. And that's the best part about club volleyball in this era. You know, in the 80s and 90s, you know, there's probably more word of mouth. You know, now you can go literally look at whoever's club you're going to, or you hear there's good, and go look who the coaches are, and you can go see what they did. They might have that on their website. Then you go and cross-reference that, and you see it like, oh yeah, this is legit. They good. You know, that's easy. Like that. Softball's a lot like that. Their circuit is very similar. You know, in general, you know, sidebar in this, did you notice how like there've been like basically just the tournaments going on? I just got to give a shout out to women's sports in general. How much more organized they even seem to be in the NCAAs too. All these teams all of a sudden catching COVID now. Like Duke got COVID, Kansas got COVID, North Carolina A&T got COVID. I ain't seen no teams get COVID in the women's tournament
all year long.
Like, not once. Did you hear one women's team get COVID all year? So shout out to our lady sports, man, because I'm telling you right now, we are a hot mess. And that's a damn shame, James, that you could mention AAU boys basketball in North Carolina, where they have per capita, I think, more basketball programs than any other state, maybe outside of California. California might have them because the size of this state is insane.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they got 4 schools on the same damn road, 8 miles apart from each other. And you telling me AAU men's basketball in North Carolina is organized? They gotta be ashamed of themselves.
Well, dude, let me say it like this, and then I'll kind of go back to where we were going with it. I think with AAU, like travel sports, mainly AAU, and we touched on this like, God, one of our first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
But I think with AAU, I think with sports in general, especially boy sports, the more money that's involved, the more room it leaves for stupidity. Because like with these travel basketball teams and some of these travel football leagues, you paying a ton of money for your kid to get exposure. Now, mind you, this kid might be 8, 9 years old trying to get exposure, but whatever. Now you forked over a crap ton of money for essentially travel fees, warm-ups, food, entry fee, and then usually that money is like paying back the sponsor for putting their name on it and everything else. And then your kid's playing against either subpar talent or your kid doesn't have the talent level to be in that organization in the first place. So when it comes to boy sports, the more money that's involved, and like you said, it doesn't take much for Jack and Joe to go grab 8 or 9 park kids, fork over the $1,000, which they're going to charge your kid $400 anyway to be on this team.
Yep.
Go pay the $1,000 fee, and then they're in some AAU funded tournament. But to go back to like the parents in sports, like I was beyond blessed. Like my mom was a 3-year track star at the University of Florida, played basketball at the University of Florida. Like, God, I never stood a chance. Like it was, you gonna play something. But like my mom knew where that line was. So don't get me wrong, like you said, we came from that era where like your parents are usually like the loudest thing in whatever sport you're in. So I remember my mom being the loudest fan at the game, but she never crossed the line. So like even game over, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. Game over, she the first person to come up, like, hey, baby, great game, blah, 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 how you feeling, whatever. And then, okay, once we got that conversation done, hey, you all right? Yeah, I'm good. All right, we need to work on this, and this. And it wasn't ever from an aspect of, oh, you got to go pro and this, that, and the third. It was from a point of, all right, if this is what you love doing, let's get better at doing it. And I think, and this may be a sign of the times now, like everything now is based on you got to go pro, you got to go pro, you got to go pro. Like if you mess up this 9-year-old softball league, you won't be able to go pro. And honestly, because these parents now are us, like it kind of comes down to our fault. Because mama, even when I had a chance to get picked up and get drafted, my mom's first question was like my senior year going into it in college, like, do you still love playing? Well, yeah. All right, then let's go. Like when I got to San Jose, you still love playing ball, right? Yeah. I got cut from Green Bay and Buffalo. Her first question, like, hey, it happens, baby. You know it's a business, but do you still love playing the game? Well, yeah. All right, then you keep going for it. And that's the difference in parents now.
Yeah, at least your
I agree.
was saying, do you love it? My mother was like, when are you gonna stop? He's like, stop chasing this dumbass dream. She don't curse, but that's literally what she was saying. Like, you are stupid. Like,
shout out to Sarah.
I'm glad it got you free college, but you can stop anytime. You know, you can do other things, James. You're not just a football player. Oh my God. No, but Chris, that's a good point you make. Like, and I think about us as kids. Like, they have so much access to shit. You know, I love how I continue to make myself older and older now that I'm 38 now. But yeah, thanks, man. That's my younger soon-to-be wife called me Pops over here. Now, I think a lot of it is in how the kid's mind thought. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I always did it in segments. Like, it was always a goal of it never, of course, as a 4-year-old, I was like, I want to be a professional athlete. I was like, all right, I knew that. but my mindset never went past certain things. It was like, man, you know, I just want to be the starter on our middle high team. And then once I accomplished that, it was my freshman year. It's like, man, see all these guys, you know, unlike Chris, who was already built like a varsity football player when he was 13, 14. I've seen the pictures. Like this dude, he's had the same neck since 1997. Like it's crazy. I've seen the pictures. You know what I'm saying? But some of us, you know, of slender build, i.e. the Jameses here, your goal was like, man, I just want to be able to go up there on my varsity team and make a play and be that guy. Then you become that, and it's all right. Now I'm back in college. It's like, dude, if I can just contribute, all I'm trying to do is like, I think it's that mindset that I think it's lost in a kid because, you know, it's such a now generation. You know, kids can have so much fame and popularity now, more than ever, in anything and everything. So when they see themselves as athletes, you know, you see the Bronny Jameses that have basically, you know, didn't even start at his high school yet, but has like 3 million followers on Twitter. Like it's just kind of that type of deal. Like, what's the one kid? I can't remember, Julian Newman or whatever, the little basketball stud that was in all these videos. Like the kid only grew to be like 5'6". He can't even get on. So that makes James's point. Parents' place in amateur sports. Like they basically monetized their kid and got a show out of it. You know what I mean? And the kid ended up, you know, I think he's still in college now. Like I've seen pictures of him. I said, man, I feel bad for this 5'6" kid that didn't quite grow the way he thought he was going to grow.
Exactly.
To his game. So you make a valid point, James, and that comes down to his parents. Like his parents used him as a meal ticket because his kid was the #1 player in the country when he was 12 years old.
Mm.
And now,
I will never get that. Like, I get it in high school, like being ranked #1, being the #1 ninth grader. I get that. Okay, I can. Honestly, I don't see it with ninth graders. Like, I feel like it needs to start once you get to like your junior years when the rankings really need to start. But like, I just find it to be the dumbest thing.
That's when they matter.
No, I know it doesn't matter, but to be the number. Matter of fact, I'll speak from personal experience. I got a cousin right now. He's a junior, going into being a junior. 6'4", 6'5", 280, whatever. And last year, he was the #1 defensive tackle that was a sophomore in the state of Florida. I asked him, like, dude, what the hell does that mean? Like, okay, so, like, do you continue to be #1, like, each year? Or, like I just don't know what it means. Like, because it doesn't mean anything until, honestly, your senior year for recruiting.
Well, does he have offers?
He does.
Oh, it means something then. If he's just waiting to sign a dotted line somewhere, it means something.
And guess where he wants to go?
We were doing so good. I mean, I gave them credit at the beginning of the show. I did that for you. So I didn't have to hear none of that foolishness. We are not here to talk about Alabama. No.
I just asked the question, like, guess where you want to go?
None of that.
I'm just saying.
It's a crazy thing. Like, I look at, you know, my wife over here, and I mean, she was coached by her dad, you know, in track and in basketball and, you know, things like that growing up before she got to high school. Actually, did he coach you in high school, Bet? She turned out good. I mean, she chose me, so I don't know how good she turned out.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hey, I love that. I love the confidence though. I love that.
Yeah, you know, James. I mean, I give Krista credit. Krista was like, I got you, little buddy. She's like, come here. You're gonna be all right.
Hey man.
Shout out Krista.
I outkick my coverage. I admit that.
I don't know how the hell I did this. This is crazy. This is dumb. You know what happened? I tell you what it was. See, it's because I wasn't playing football anymore. That's what it was. Human being. I was doing all right human being points at that point, you know.
There
Chris was over there in Chicago, far away from me and shit at that point. terrorizing that city.
Mine caught me in the peak of my assholeness, so I really don't know how.
Yeah, I was witness to that. I was around. I saw it all happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it all happen.
Dude, it's a great topic. Like, I just feel like you got to just pick a side. Like, either you're going to be a parent that's a fan of the game that's going to help your kid get better.
Yeah.
Or you're going to volunteer your time and help the entire team, including your kid, get better as a coach. It's hard. Like, that line needs to be, like, I like the way your daughter's club volleyball team does it. Like, let's make this black and white. Like, I got coaches, I got fans. Pick a side to be on, and like that's where you are.
Right. Because if not, they got. I mean, I could be at a club tournament, and the up judge give me what is called like a purple card. It's almost like soccer. You know, they give me a purple card where I get ejected. And so like you're saying, choose. Are you going to be here and be a support to your offspring? Or you're going to be in the car chilling or in the hotel just waiting for them to get back.
Exactly.
Some of the best advice that I got, you know, I sat down with a amateur professional organization in the south of Minneapolis in St. Paul. The commissioner of that organization sat me down and he just said this. He said, one time in your children's career, in their amateur career, miss a game, unannounced, just miss a game. And when you go to pick them up, their response will be kind of in line to where you need to be. So a brief example of that is, and it happened unintentionally, but so it wasn't organized. So we had to divide and conquer. Like right now, my wife is down in Florida. My son had a football game last night, and this has happened over the past several years. But when I went and picked my daughter up at the club when they returned, or at the airport, wherever it was, she got in, and she was like, you know, talking about the tourney. Hey, you know, hey, baby, you balled out. Congratulations on a good tournament. Too bad you didn't win. Blah blah blah. And then her response was, she talked about her performance, how she felt she did, how the team performed, and then she said, "Man, I really wish you would have been there." You know what I'm saying? So it's important for us parents to pick up those cues for us to know when we're crossing over that boundary, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? If you're the parent that's in the stands and your child is turning their head to not listen to you, then that means you're doing too much. I mean, you have to pick up on those cues, those nonverbal cues. And I think a lot of people don't pick up on that. And that's doing more damage to your relationship as well with your child. But anyway, I took that advice and I utilized it unintentionally. And I found out how my daughter felt about me being there and the support that I'm providing. And furthermore, letting me know that the way I'm giving her support is the way that she likes it to be.